He's a three-weight world champion who is desperate to be a household name. And this platform...
And still, WBC lightweight champion of the world, Shakur Stevenson.
The boxing world has been craving this matchup. Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez represents everything the sport demands when two unbeaten champions finally collide. This isn't just about belts or rankings. This is about two completely different approaches to dominance, meeting under the brightest lights. Speed meets precision. Calculated aggression meets systematic control. When fighters this elite step into the same ring, every exchange becomes a statement about who truly belongs at the top.
I felt like you knew how little Lomachenko was, and you kind of capitalized off of that.
Heck no, that man was a lot to deal with.
Teofimo built his reputation on taking what wasn't freely given. He never waited for opportunities to present themselves naturally. Instead, he forced his way into title conversations. By dismantling established champions who thought they had seen every style, that aggressive approach defined him. He thrived on creating chaos where others expected order. Shakur followed a completely different blueprint: methodical progression through the amateur ranks, Olympic success, professional titles earned through technical superiority rather than explosive moments. Where Teofimo embraced unpredictability, Shakur mastered consistency.
Is this going to be a great fight? I don't know if it will. I mean, style-wise, I could see you having a little reservations, you know, whether or not these guys will make for dynamite.
Those contrasting philosophies had been building toward this collision for years. The lightweight division couldn't sustain two undefeated champions operating in completely different universes. This wasn't manufactured drama or promotional convenience. The sport itself demanded an answer to the question both men represented: technical mastery versus explosive disruption, patient execution versus controlled chaos. Eventually, one approach would prove superior, and the entire division would reshape itself around that truth.
He's full of confidence. He's got a job to do tonight. It is a short notice change, a different opponent, but he's the sort of guy that will adapt beautifully.
Yeah, but he needs to put on a clinical...
The significance went deeper than personal achievement. No manufactured storylines, no asterisks or convenient circumstances. Both fighters at their natural weight, both undefeated, both in their athletic prime. The winner would leave with legitimate claim to divisional supremacy. The loser would face questions that couldn't be answered with excuses. Everyone understood the gravity before the opening bell rang. Careers don't recover easily from losses this public and this definitive.
I don't know if he wants it or not, but it's tough to have the conditioning. See, a guy can take your conditioning if he make you fight fast like this.
A lot of people ain't give us the opportunity to show how great we is. A lot of the fighters, I want to say, either they ducked or found a business way not to get in front of me. And I feel like with him, he kind of gave me the opportunity of a lifetime now.
The contrasts became obvious during ring walks. Shakur moved with calculated calm. His expression revealed nothing about strategy or emotion. Every step suggested a fighter who believed timing belonged to him. Each subtle movement appeared rehearsed and intentional. He wasn't reacting to the moment, because he had already visualized every possibility. Teofimo fed off the arena's energy. He wanted noise, movement, and electrical atmosphere. That wasn't performance for the cameras. It represented his core fighting philosophy. Disruption starts before the first punch lands. Force your opponent out of comfort zones before technical exchanges begin. The psychological battle was already revealing their fundamental differences.
With an upset win to claim this title, his second time a lineal champion, Teofimo Lopez.
This is what he does well, Paddy. He takes little small steps back. He's even doing it with Shakur. No, Shakur wants to attack. He's taking little steps back. That just makes you reset a little bit.
The opening round established early patterns. Teofimo pressed forward with controlled intensity. His combinations snapped with lightning speed, drawing crowd reactions, but the visual impact exceeded the actual damage. Shakur wasn't trying to match that energy. Instead, he focused on controlling distance and denying clean angles. His counters weren't spectacular, but they found their targets consistently.
He put Chamberlain down, and that's how he got this opportunity. As the southpaw jab and the puzzle, as the guys were saying, to solve for Padley.
Round 1 revealed subtle advantages that would compound over time. Teofimo expended more energy than he generated damage. Shakur invested only the stamina necessary to maintain his preferred rhythm. Elite boxing operates on margins most observers miss. Every missed combination costs oxygen. Every reset requires mental recalibration. Teofimo's aggressive approach carried hidden costs that wouldn't become obvious until the championship rounds. Shakur's defensive precision was already banking advantages that would pay dividends later.
Only boxing can bring these stories up. I don't know any other sport that can do it.
And do you know what as well? His Excellency will have seen this with Josh Padley and with Martin Bakoli. And if they both lose tonight, they'll be back.
I think so.
Yeah, for sure.
Round 2 showed the first signs of Shakur's systematic approach taking hold. Teofimo remained dangerous with the power that had produced 12 professional knockouts, but the openings he had exploited in round 1 were quietly disappearing. Shakur began landing shots that stung mentally more than physically. A perfectly timed jab disrupted Teofimo's rhythm before he could establish his preferred distance. A defensive pivot eliminated an angle just as Teofimo loaded his right hand. Clean counters landed before Shakur moved back out of range. The pressure continued, but its effectiveness was diminishing. Corner instructions became more urgent for Teofimo's team, while remaining calm for Shakur's. The crowd's energy shifted from excitement to nervous tension. Momentum was changing hands subtly but decisively.
Two fighters that are at a high skill level that will compete in the sweet science.
Round 3 tightened Shakur's control further. Teofimo's speed remained impressive, but slightly reduced from earlier rounds. Casual observers might not notice the difference, but it was enough for Shakur to exploit. Shakur simply reacting and began dictating exchanges. He drew attacks he had already planned to counter. He forced Teofimo into resets that accumulated small mistakes. Teofimo's hands lingered low for fractions of seconds too long. His feet planted when they should have stayed mobile. Frustration translated into subtle overcommitments. Superior ring intelligence was becoming suffocating. Shakur didn't need overwhelming power when he possessed overwhelming control. The fight was transitioning from competitive to one-sided.
From Taylor. Lopez. We're going to come through the front door. He does so with a two-punch combination. Taylor looking to deliver on the...
The mental warfare became visible between rounds. Teofimo found himself asking questions that elite fighters hate confronting. Why couldn't he establish consistent offensive rhythm? How was Shakur always one step ahead of his adjustments? Meanwhile, Shakur remained analytical rather than emotional. How much pressure could he absorb before Teofimo's energy reserves depleted? What calculated risks were worth taking to accelerate the process? Superior boxing intelligence doesn't panic or waste motion. Every clean shot served as education. Natural talent alone wouldn't be sufficient at this level.
Him down. For the second time, that was sweet, and Padley felt that one worse than the first. The counter, he'll try and get up, he does. He's got...
Round 4 brought the defining moment. Teofimo searched desperately for the equalizing shot that would reset the entire fight. Urgency made him dangerous, but also predictable. Shakur exercised patience rather than forcing action. He waited for Teofimo to commit fully, then landed a perfectly timed counter. The punch wasn't visually spectacular, but it was technically devastating. Teofimo stumbled from both physical impact and mental realization. The opening he had gambled everything on had never actually existed. From that point forward, Shakur imposed complete control. His punches carried intent rather than emotion. He managed distance expertly and forced Teofimo to restart exchanges repeatedly. The referee's attention increased noticeably. Every movement was calculated and purposeful. The championship rounds told the complete story. Teofimo's movements carried visible fatigue. His punches retained intent but lacked their earlier snap and precision. Shakur appeared virtually unchanged from the opening bell. His breathing remained controlled. His eyes stayed calm and focused. His footwork maintained perfect discipline. Elite defensive skills had evolved into complete dominance. Not through overwhelming force, but through systematic refusal to allow his opponent breathing room or control over timing. If the fight reached the scorecards, the decision would feel completely earned. If it ended early, the conclusion would feel inevitable. Shakur had transformed dangerous chaos into manageable data, while systematically constraining Teofimo's explosive abilities. Post-fight analysis confirmed what everyone witnessed. This wasn't a competitive clash between equally viable styles. It was one approach methodically canceling the other. The lesson extended beyond these two fighters. Viral popularity generates attention and interest, but technical mastery survives when pressure peaks. Speed creates highlight reels and social media buzz, but discipline determines winners when everything matters most. Boxing rewards preparation, repetition, and sound decision-making under maximum stress. Younger fighters received a complete education that night. The sport demonstrated its core values during a few unforgiving rounds, reminding everyone that explosive chaos alone never suffices. For Shakur Stevenson, this performance validated his entire approach. Pound-for-pound discussions moved from theoretical to concrete. His patience, control, and refusal to deviate from his system proved his completeness as a championship-level fighter. Superstardom doesn't require manufactured chaos when you can impose systematic order. For Teofimo Lopez, this setback represents education rather than conclusion. He isn't finished, but he's permanently changed. Losses this definitive provide harsh lessons that refine and recalibrate future approaches. Boxing history ignores excuses while remembering nights exactly like this one. This fight transcended simple competition to become a statement about what the sport truly values when all distractions fade away. Technical skill explained itself completely. Patient execution triumphed over explosive aggression. Systematic discipline dominated controlled chaos. One man imposed his vision of reality while the other confronted it directly. This was the night Shakur Stevenson proved that technical mastery still rules professional boxing at its highest levels.